discussion and/or approval of semester test policy. If we had some discussion, we'll open it up again for comments, questions. Anyone?
Well, I remember last summer when we were on this situation, and we talked about attitude, and I remember that very vividly. And some schools follow. And the bottom line, I guess, there's no other way to cut it. I don't know how to handle it. It's not perfect, that's for sure.
Where's this semester test policy and all of this? Is it?
It should be in the
Just
or not in Kevin's
report.
I gotta go back to Kevin's report.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
While you're talking about the exemption.
Yes, the opt-out will become a policy or practice. It would become part of the, if we were just putting the student handbook together right now, it would become part of that, which would then act like policy.
Be something we would review annually then?
The board at Wallingford Auburn voted for it, but it was a 4-1 vote. There were two board members that had opposition to it, and they both actually were for the same things you discussed. It was the C-. And one of the board members that felt that way voted against it, but would support the practice to see what it looked like. The other board member that was concerned about the C- said, I'd like to see it be at least a C, but he said, you know what, let's try it, and I just want you to bring us data so we can see what this looks like. And so it was a 4-1 vote. But there was really just the same discussion as you've had here, the same concerns. The only policy similar to this that Wallingford Auburn had ever had was based on attendance. Attendance linked to opt-out of semester test. I think we talked before the meeting. SAC has had some, what did we decide?
An opt-out.
An opt-out for ITED scores. Okay.
This just kind of amazes me, so.
Well, in your comment, Shirley, about the 41st, I think that's something that's really kind of out of control. Is that correct? I mean, that's, whether we agree with that or not, that's kind of out of our hand, unfortunately. Any other thoughts, questions?
We can't up that to 50%.
Well, actually, in a policy, you probably could. I mean, honestly, you could.
In our policy.
Yeah.
Well,
You're not going to change
we need to be
You got to be
consistent. Yeah, or two boards have to.
Right, I understand, but
If the board changed it to a different number, it'd go in December back to Wallingford Auburn with whatever the change was, which we've done that before with actions that we've taken.
I'm not opposed to trying it. I'm not sure I agree 100% with everything in it. Yeah, it's kind of, you know, so
I'm willing to at least give it a chance. So I'll make a motion to approve what was presented tonight in Mr. Litter's report.
we got a motion out there. Do I hear a second?
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the semester test opt-out, that's what it's called, as presented. Any discussion?
I just don't feel comfortable rewarding students with a grade level like that. I mean, what do you?
Well, I think last year we talked about, you know, some kids, they just blow these tests off. They really don't care. We were talking about we have to do something to get these test scores up. Yeah, I'm not real happy with these numbers either. You know, any kid that scores below the 41st percentile, why should we reward that kid? You know, C- is bad enough, but you know, you know...
Well, depending on who you're talking about. Like a C minus
Well-
some is pretty good.
Well, I
I mean,
realize
let's-
that, but, you know, maybe those are the kids that should be taking semester
I
tests.
agree.
Down raise the scores.
You know, I think that, you know, if we do approve it, I think we need to see a substantial improvement in the test scores. You know, if they improve 1 or 2%, did we really accomplish what we were trying to do, or was it just a fluke? I think it was probably a fluke. You know,
I agree with you, Doug. It'd have to be a market improvement to make it worthwhile. Otherwise, I
Right.
think we're providing them with an incentive for what?
right.
So,
In next year, you know, if we do approve it, I think, you know, if the test scores are substantially better, then maybe we can either renew it or tweak it or do something with it. But, you know, I think we need to start somewhere. I don't know how we go about redesigning this whole thing. I think our administrators probably have a better idea than we do what it may take to get these kids to improve.
I'd rather give them a pizza party than this.
Well,
Now, you could do that at the elementary.
You're okay. None of the sunshine.
pizza or ice cream works for elementary.
Just to tie this in here, what is the name of the test? Now, we know I know I had basic skills. What is the name of the test that is not timed and you continue to do it and you I cannot think of the name of it, right? Can you help me with it? The name of the test that if you do well on it, you get harder questions. And if you do well, even better on it, you get harder questions. And it just continues to work and work and work, and you get harder and harder questions. It's on the...
Jeopardy.
I don't know what's out there like that. And then it goes the other side of the coin. If you can't cut the mustard, so to speak, then they give you easier questions. And when you answer the easier questions, you get a little bit harder, and then they finally come up with a score.
When you get the cognitive aptitude test, the CAT test, it operates like that, but I'm not sure that's what you're thinking about.
Well,
Because what that test really does is tells you what their potential is. In other words, it gets more difficult as they go along, but there's a place where they can't continue to answer. So it says what their cognitive ability, I shouldn't say aptitude, what their cognitive ability is, then you take that and you look at it compared to how did they score in the ACT. You know, they have the ability to
I
do
know
X
it's
and they
correct.
scored X, but I don't know if that's what you're talking about.
Well, I just was doing this inside the last 3 weeks, and I cannot remember the name, and that's why I'm hoping someone would just give me it, because first time I've seen it, and I like it, because, you know, either way, you're going to continue until...
Was that in a school in this area is what you're saying?
Until Carroll.
Okay. We have to give ITEPs and ITBS, that's the state test, so Carol must be giving whatever,
It's on the monitor.
is it called the MISIG test?
I'll find that out, and I'll be there again, and I'll purchase it.
Okay.
But that's where I'm going with this attitude business, because this is what we're dealing with.
So if this works this year, then they're going to come back and expect the same thing or more next year to do a better job, or what? And where are we going with
Well, I
this?
think we need to expect them to improve yearly.
And if they don't, we...
Well,
That would be our option.
Yeah. This is one of the things I'm talking about, is why we're having trouble in the labor force, guys. Just doing good enough isn't good enough once you get out there, so...
Any other discussion? I guess we do have a motion on the table.
well, I think last year there was other avenues also to opt out of semester tests, if I remember right. Are we going to also include those, or will this be the only way they can opt out of semester tests?
To my knowledge, this is the only way it's going to opt out.
Okay.
The only
So in
opt-out.
other words, last year there were also other ways. I don't believe that a lot of the kids would have qualified last year, but those are the kids we're trying to bring the scores up on anyway, are those kids that didn't score as well. What avenue do we have to try and increase their score?